Coming to you from the studios of 3411 Co-working. Welcome to another great episode of Between Two Trains. My name is Theo, and I'd like to introduce you to our co-hosts, Van Pappas of Oxygen Financial and Jason Wheelock of Compass Realty. And now, Between Two Trains.
Welcome to another episode of Between Two Trains, a bi-monthly business podcast. I'm your host, Van Pappas, and once again, my good friend and great real estate agent, the expert with Compass Realty, Jason Wheelock. Jason, welcome back once again to the show. How are you?
Hey, Van. Hey, you always make me blush when you say things like that. I'll tell you what. So I'm glad to be back once again.
So, Jason, last episode, you refreshed us about Compass Realty, and we hope that that's going well here now about 2 months into your thing. So, is there anything that we need as citizens to worry about in the real estate market? Do we have another 2008 coming, or are we pretty safe at this point? What's your view on that?
If I had a crystal ball, they'd probably put me in a room somewhere. But here's what I would say. I seriously doubt we're faced with any kind of apocalyptic crash. History says every 35, 40 years we go through something significant like that. It's been pretty repeatable. And I believe that we are in line for a correction. So if you are at a point where you're thinking about buying or selling, there's various reasons why you want to buy or sell at high markets or low markets, right? But trying to time the market is a very futile thing to do. Just like your business, right? Timing the market is almost impossible.
It is impossible. In fact, a funny story, I actually would always tell people, like you said, if I had a crystal ball, I could tell you exactly what. And many years ago, I had an elderly client that for Christmas gave me a crystal ball. She said, here you go. You're always talking about, if you had a crystal ball, here's your crystal ball.
Do you bring that on your appointments now?
So a number of months ago, though, you mentioned to me, and it might not have been on the air, that in the residential real estate market, we had only about a 2-month supply. Is that still the case, or is that stretching out some?
Yeah, and that's sort of a broad stroke because it depends on the price range. In the higher end market, you're going to see significant amounts of inventory comparatively. And history always says that, right? There's just more on the market the higher you go. There are certain markets that remain very low on inventory, especially in the entry-level first-time home buyer market. But I would say across the board, we haven't seen the latest statistics quite yet for the third quarter. We will soon, this month actually. But I do believe that we have experienced a slowdown in the residential market since summer. And sometimes that's normal, but this year I think everyone's felt a little bit more. And it'll be interesting to see, will 2019, when the spring market comes, will it be as hot as the last 5 years? Yeah. I don't know. It's been going up for a while, Van, just like the stock market. Yeah. Hard to predict.
Well, this is a fascinating topic, and we can learn more about it. If you want to learn more about it from Jason, just reach out to Jason Wheelock at Compass Realty, and he can fill you in as the expert of real estate for Atlanta. But I want to bring on our guest. We've got today a really great, interesting business that's come to Chamblee a few years ago. Stephanie Bramble, did I pronounce that correct?
You did. Yep.
With Dutchmans Design. Yeah. Stephanie?
Dutchmans Casual Living.
Dutchmans Casual Living. Okay.
But we do designs.
You do designs. Well, welcome, Stephanie, to the show. We appreciate you coming on. So tell us a little bit about exactly what Dutchmans is.
So Dutchmans is a furniture and home accessory store, and we also carry a large range of gifts. So everything's a little bit eclectic. There's a mix of modern furniture and traditional furniture, shabby chic furniture. So there's something really for everybody in my store. And we help people, put their houses together too. Because like you were saying before, there's so many people that are buying or renovating houses, and the market around here is kind of crazy. People are coming to us and they just have no idea how to pull their room together or their whole house. So we actually go out to their homes and take a look at their space, and then we can help them choose the right pieces.
So it's not necessarily just a retail, hey, I'm coming and buying something and going home. You actually interact with your customers by physically going to their homes.
Yeah, we do, definitely. I mean, we sell everything off the floor as well, so our inventory changes constantly. But then if you have trouble putting your home together, we'll come out and help.
Now, this is all new stuff. So you're not an antique store. This is not antiques, is it?
Definitely not antiques.
Definitely not
No,
antiques.
I don't know anything about antiques.
Yet you located in the antique capital of
I
the
know.
South. Was
I
that on
know.
purpose, or how did you end up in Chamblee?
No, I actually, my husband and I live really close by here, and our warehouse is in Norcross.
Okay.
So we would drive past Antique Row like every day to go to the warehouse, and then they started renovating the building, and I was like, oh, this would be a fabulous store.
Now tell our clients exactly where in Chamblee you are.
So we're on Peachtree Road at 5420, and it is the old Rust and Dust.
Yeah,
building.
next to where
Yeah.
Rust and Dust, which is now Gus's Fried Chicken.
It is
Yeah.
Gus's Fried Chicken.
Do you eat there a lot?
Can I say no?
No, you don't have to.
I'm curious, what's the genesis of the name Dutchmans?
So my last name is actually Nieuwendyk. Bramble is my married name.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And my dad is the Dutchman. So
I see.
he's no longer with us, but he was a furniture maker, and he was
Oh,
an
wow.
artist and just an all-around talented guy. And I got a smidgen of that gift, so I put it into my store.
This is the second episode in a row that we've got a family lineage,
right.
because
Last
Dr.
episode we
Weimer
that's
had
right.
was mom was
Her
a
mom was a
professor,
professor and-
chiropractor,
yeah.
and now
Oh,
we have your father was in the furniture business. So I'm seeing a trend here
Yeah.
on Between Two Trains.
So,
That's a little plug for the show.
yes, thank you.
Yeah.
So now the store here in Chamblee is not your only location, correct?
No, it's my newest location.
How many
So
locations do we have?
have 4 altogether.
4. Wow. All right. So we're a little bit more. So unlike Jason, our last guest, where she was only in business for 6 months, here we got a little bit more seasoned,
We have a veteran.
That's a
mature
nice way to put it,
entrepreneur
yes.
here.
Season.
Yeah.
It's a nice
This
way
hot
to
or
put
not's
it.
going to be interesting.
Yeah. So 4 locations.
Yep.
Are they all here in Atlanta? Where are the,
No, the first one is in Highlands, North Carolina, so it's up in the mountains.
that Highlands is where all the furniture makers are, right? Isn't that a big furniture?
You're thinking of Hickory.
Oh, Hickory.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's closer to the coast. So
Gotcha.
Highlands is like in the far western point of North Carolina.
Gotcha. Yeah, I am thinking of Hickory and
Yeah.
High Point. And
Yeah,
High
yeah.
Point
Yes,
also a
yeah,
big.
Yeah, you're thinking all of that.
Gotcha.
No, it's not that.
They're not
No.
there. So we got
Other
we got one in North Carolina.
2 in North
Two
Carolina.
in North
so I
Carolina.
have that one in Highlands, and then I have one on Lake Norman, which is
Mm-hmm.
Cornelius, so just 20 minutes north of Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
And then here in Chamblee, and then St. Simon's Island, Georgia.
All right, so those are pretty spread out.
They
Yeah.
are.
So let's talk for a few minutes about that. As an entrepreneur, you've got these multiple locations. They're spread out. You can't just go reach out and touch your stores whenever you want. How do you manage that?
I literally drive to each location every month and spend
Wow.
probably about 4 or 5 days in each place.
Oh, wow.
Cornelius, I probably spend a little bit longer because that's the largest store of the 4. And I do all the merchandising and buying, and just I love creating a vision that kind of inspires customers. So I spend a lot of time on just
You're on the
making
road
it
a lot.
pretty.
Is there-
I drive a lot.
Right.
Is there a bit of economies of scale here? So you mentioned buying all the furniture, you
Yeah.
know, are they all separate, or would you see a piece in every single store, like the same type piece in it?
Same type piece, the finish, like the color would change.
Would change,
Yeah.
depending. And that's sort of catered to that market?
It is, because,
Yeah.
you know, Lake Norman, so you've got kind of lighter colors because it's on the lake, and the same in St. Simon's Islands because it's more beachy. Up in Highlands in the mountains, it's going to be the richer kind of, you know, darker stains. And here we're still trying to figure it out. Both kind of sells here in Chamblee, but I'm yet to see like what the definite trend
Can you
is.
tell us which of the four is the best producing store?
Probably Cornelius.
Cornelius.
Yeah.
Was that the first, or?
No, it was the third store. Highlands and St. Simons are both in heavy tourist areas. So I sell a lot more of the smaller products out of those stores.
Okay.
And Cornelius, it's kind of like here. People are just building these crazy big houses and they need furniture to fill it with. So it's more of a furniture store. You walk in there and you definitely know you're in a furniture store, but not a typical.
So Chamblee's not number one.
Not yet.
Do you expect it to move up in the rankings?
It's growing very
quickly.
When I opened that store,
And now, when was that?
so it was actually Thanksgiving of 2016, Black Friday,
Okay.
and
So we're coming up on year 2.
yeah, and before the end of our first year, actually expanded into the space next door. So we're like right up against Gus's Chicken on one side, and then hoping to expand again if possible in the near future.
Is there any place left in that building to expand to? I thought everything's taken.
It is, but we could possibly go out the back, kind of
Okay.
go out that way.
Well, we had Taylor on the show. He
Yeah.
was a guest before, great developer and entrepreneur, and we were thankful how he redeveloped that strip mall that was, sort of run down, and now it's really a gem in our downtown.
Yeah, the building is fantastic. I love old buildings. They have so much character. I would choose that over anything new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious about how you came to have these stores so far apart. Is there a strategic purpose behind it, or was it just sort of random selection? How did that come about? Because obviously you're driving a lot, like you said.
Right. Yeah. And most people that start businesses usually have a plan. I did not. So
You're a seat,
Yeah.
by the seat of your pants type
I am.
of
You
business
might be
owner.
surprised. A lot
am.
of business owners are like that, I think.
yeah, in Highlands, there's a lot of people that have a home in Highlands and St. Simon's Island. And I
Okay.
just had great customers, and they're like, you have to open a store down there.
So you let your customers move
Kinda
you
dictate-
to
yeah.
the location.
Yeah, I had a customer.
Were you
that,
living in either of those places at the time?
No, only living in Highlands then.
Okay.
And I had a customer that bought a couple of truckloads of furniture, so I drove them down there. The island was so busy, and it was like, this would be a great place for a store. And I never really thought about the distance, honestly. So just opened that store in 2009. And then Cornelius happened just because there was a space that my husband found, and he's like, this would make a great store. So
Car broke down somewhere.
Now, you've mentioned your husband a couple of times. Is he a partner, or is this all your endeavor and he just sort of lends support? Do you have any partners, or is it just you?
just me.
Just you.
His connection to it, though, is the Bramble company, which our last name. His brother has a factory in Indonesia, and all of our wood furniture is manufactured there.
So he's your
So-
supplier.
His brother is. So, and I used to work for his brother in Indonesia when I had 2 stores. I would go over there and be the creative director, so I would come up with furniture designs and new finishes so that they could show it at High Point Market.
Okay.
And once I got 3 stores, it was too much, so I let that go. But I carry our Bramble product in all the stores, and customers can come in and,
Say, I want a Bramble.
yeah, I want this table, and they have like 80 different finishes to choose from. So then it's individually theirs. So that's kind of the great thing about our furniture as well.
Gotcha.
Where do you source things from? Is it pretty specific, or do you have a bunch of different?
A bunch of different. I like to also travel to different shows too and find one-off things. I like quirky, odd things. So I'll go to sometimes Round Top, Texas, and go to the show there, or Scott's Market here in Atlanta, and just pull things from all over. And if you're traveling in Europe or in Asia, then try and find things I can put on one of my containers and then send it back. So
Wow.
no one else has it.
This is fascinating, and I love hearing the story and whatnot. And I like to say that you can listen to this show and almost get an MBA from listening to these business owners. So I want to focus a little bit about being an entrepreneur and what that took. And so you think back now. When was the first store opened? How many years ago?
In 2000.
Okay, so we're talking 18 years ago. Think back, what were you going through opening that store? How did you get it financed? What was it like being this entrepreneur opening a store from scratch?
So it really is the American dream in a sense, and which is kind of funny since I'm not American.
Okay.
But I was working and doing craft shows on the weekends to make extra money, and I made a deal with myself that if I made $10,000 at Yellow Daisy show, that I would open my store. And
Wow.
yeah, there is a picture of me holding up 10 fingers saying that
That
I
is
did
an
it.
awesome
Yeah.
picture. I would
So-
love to put that on our website if you can let us see it.
I have to
Can't
find
make
it.
that up. I'll tell you what.
So you started with $10,000 and said, "Here, I'm opening this store." Did you have to borrow more money, or was that
That was it.
So
That was
everything
it.
out of
Yeah.
pocket. So now here we are on store number 4. Over that time frame,
Yeah.
have you done every store out of your personal funds, or did you have to actually go out and borrow money to open any of these?
I borrowed some money to do the Chamblee store. Everything else was just me putting it back into the company and
business.
just doing it. Yeah,
That's great.
It didn't occur to me to go and ask for money, actually.
So when we have young entrepreneurs just starting out,
Mm-hmm.
that's a common question. Hey, I'm either doing it with some family money or borrowing money or whatnot.
Right.
What I want to know, though, is so that our listeners can understand what it's like being an entrepreneur that's been in business now going on almost 2 decades. What's your plan for most entrepreneurs? They keep funneling money into their business.
Yes.
What's the exit out? How are you saying, when do you say, all right, I need to flip the switch and start pulling money out?
I haven't gotten there yet. So
You're still in Act 2. You haven't gotten to Act 3.
I haven't. I just keep putting it in, and I think if it came to the day where I was just not excited about going into one of my stores and changing it and recreating it and making it beautiful, then that's when I would think I've got to have a plan to get out of here. But right now I'm still putting everything back into it that I can. So
Van, don't you think that's a lot of business owners who are good at what they do? And you as a financial planner, you love diversity, but many business
I
owners...
also like planning.
You like
And what we
planning,
have here is a seasoned entrepreneur that really doesn't do any planning and, has not sat there and thought about creating a plan for her
Yeah.
exit strategy. Not that I'm saying that's
No, I
wrong,
need to.
but I
need
think,
to.
my advice
this
for your
point.
free financial planning advice
Yes.
for the day is you should sit down and think about what that exit strategy looks like so you
Right.
have it in your head
Yes.
so that you're not just winging it when it comes
Right.
time.
Right.
I would bet you probably don't even know exactly how much your business is worth.
I don't.
Yeah, most
Yeah.
entrepreneurs don't.
I don't.
They've never gone out and spent any money getting, a valuation done.
Right.
Because if you haven't had to borrow money,
Right.
then you've never had to go to the bank and say, this is how much I'm worth.
Right.
Yeah, what's challenging with some businesses too, and this is in real estate a lot of times, is people work with you for what you do, and it's hard to sometimes sell that, right? And it sounds like similarly in your business, you are the inspiration for a lot of what appears in the store.
Yeah.
So, Van, how do you tackle that from a valuation standpoint?
Well, typically when you tackle a valuation, it's strictly on the finances. There's some multiple of your income stream or the assets that you hold within your business. So can you put a dollar amount on her expertise and her? No, you can't. And so someone is not, if she said, I'm going to sell my business, they're not buying her expertise because she's going to be gone out of the business.
Right.
What they're buying is what that business is worth to them as an income stream.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have heard that my business would be hard to sell because of the way set my stores up. I've tried to streamline them a little bit so that anybody could do it, but then there's that creative aspect of it that if I'm gone, it's gone probably.
Well, I've got a few ideas on that, but we'll talk about those offline about how you can do that.
Multiple benefits of coming on Between Two Trains.
That's right. You get some free financial advice and free real estate advice. So we're going to take a short break while we hear from our sponsors, and then we're going to come back and play a fun game called Hot or Not. So stay tuned to Between Two Trains. Our sign is falling off the wall, Jason.
The Between Two Trains sign's about to attack
trains,
us.
I think, it's coming down the tracks. Hey, you've been listening to Between Two Trains. Stay tuned.
Looking for an affordable, functional, and creative space to work? Check out 3411 Co-working in downtown Chamblee. They have flexible month-to-month office space options that include fiber internet, meeting rooms, printing, coffee, snacks, and networking events. 3411 Co-working is the perfect place for entrepreneurs, remote workers, and small business owners looking for a one-stop shop for your professional needs. Stop by for a tour Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 and see how 3411 Co-working can work for you.
If you recently got divorced, you may be wondering how to pick up all of the financial pieces. Is it time to make a new budget, new goals, and get a new game plan with your investments? What about the best way to save money on your taxes? Take control of your money future. Go to oxygenfinancial.net to schedule a complimentary meeting today. Go to oxygenfinancial.net to get started right now.
Securities offered through Kestra Investment Services, member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through Kestra Advisory Services, an affiliate of Kestra Investment Services. Oxygen is not affiliated with Kestra.
Welcome back to Between Two Trains. You can hear us on betweentwotrains.com, or if you're in your car, just pop open your podcasting app, whether it's Stitcher or iTunes or whatever your favorite app is, and spend 30 minutes and listen to our show. So, Jason, before the break, we were talking with Stephanie Bramble. Stephanie, we are going to play a game called Hot or Not. And so, Jason, if you don't mind, I'll take the first
Go ahead,
Hot
please.
or Not.
I've got so many choices here.
So the reason why I like this Hot or Not, we don't use it that often because it really doesn't apply, but you now have a thriving business. You have multiple locations. You have how many employees between all the locations?
Around 25.
All right, 25. So, and I'm assuming each business has a manager that you rely on. So the Hot or Not is sharing financials with your employees. Is it a hot thing to share your financials with them, or not such a hot thing?
Not such a hot thing.
So you don't share your financials?
I do not.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a logic behind not sharing them, or you just, hey, this is mine, keep it tight to the vest?
Honestly, it's probably this is mine, keep it close to
the
me.
vest.
And their job is really just to make sales and run my stores. So, unless I'm in dire straits, I don't see any reason for them to know that.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I think that depends on the type of business you're in too, Van. Some businesses are more prone to that. Like in real estate, a lot of companies they share those statements with folks, but what do you think?
I think you're kind of right and kind of wrong. So I think this is both a hot and a not so hot.
Depending.
And
It's lukewarm.
I'm not questioning Stephanie. I mean, she knows her business much better than I don't know her employees. I don't know her managers. But what a lot of the studies have found are that employees that are feel like they're more involved with the business provide better, they're better employees. They provide better service. They feel like, hey, I'm sort of involved. It's not just a paycheck for me.
Right.
So, and I wouldn't necessarily say the salesperson on the sales floor for you.
Right. Yeah.
But maybe your store managers who are a little bit probably more important to you.
Yes.
You got to say, all right, am I going to share with them the sales of this store so they know how well they're doing? Am I going to have them competing with each other to be that top store?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, as far as that goes, they are looking at their sales, and the system that I have in place allows them to see what each of the other stores are doing. So there is a competitiveness.
From a sales perspective.
From a sales perspective.
But you're not showing them bottom line stuff.
I'm not, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's good.
Yeah.
I have a good one that we don't use much, but I think it's perfect for the business you're in, and it's Hot or Not belonging to a trade organization.
Oh, yeah.
I think
is there like certain groups, furniture groups that you belong to, or?
There isn't actually, but I don't think I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I do, for sure.
So if there was a furniture group, you would belong to it.
Yeah, definitely.
What about local organizations? Let me put a plug in for our beginning sponsor, the very first sponsor we had, which was the Chamblee Chamber of Commerce.
Yes. Yeah.
So
How can you
is
say
that
no
an
to that?
organization? Yeah, I'm a Chamblee guy. I'm going to plug the Chamblee Chamber. Is that an organization you say, hey,
Yeah, definitely. And if they're ever having meetings, they always send me an invitation or include me. It's just I'm on the road so much that I don't
You
get
can't
a chance
participate.
to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely.
I think that's very business specific. And I have a little trivia question, Van. Do you know what the largest trade organization in the world is?
I don't. What is it, Jason?
It's the National Association of Realtors.
That makes sense. There are a lot of realtors out there.
Yeah, so that I didn't know that until I got into the business. But anyway, thought that you don't meet a lot of folks that are in the the furniture business, right? It's very niche. You meet a lot of real estate agents.
Yeah.
And financial
Everybody
planners.
seems to have a real estate
Yeah.
license.
So, Van, what you got?
I'm sorry. That made me laugh for some reason. All right. So we already identified that you're not a business plan kind of entrepreneur. So we won't go down that route.
I
but
am more now than I was in
Oh,
the
really?
beginning, just from having to be.
So explain that. Let's go on a side tangent here since you brought it up. What do you
Well,
mean
no,
by
I feel
you are
bad.
more now? Do you do like an annual business plan, or
So
is it
I
still
have-
just rolling around in your head?
No. I have a new accounting firm that is actually here in Chamblee, that used to be in North Carolina, and it's a younger firm, and they're trying by the end of the year to actually have me on some kind of plan, put me in the right direction, really look at everything, see how I can save money, and just help me more. Before, all I had really was a bookkeeper and an accountant that did my taxes, and that was it. And I was winging most of it. But as I've found, when you grow and get bigger and you have more employees,
Gets harder.
you can't keep an eye on everything.
Yeah.
So I just had to find somebody that kind of knows the financial side of it more.
I will tell you, in my 20 years of being a financial planner, being in financial services, what I found are the most successful people are the ones that can manage that income and expense statement. So I applaud you for getting that in line with a firm, a CPA firm or whoever you're using, because you're right. It's easier to make those decisions when you know exactly where all the money's going.
Right.
So,
Yep.
well, talking about the money, the hot or not that I was leading up to was you've got 4 stores. You've done it all yourself. I applaud that. Store number 5, store number 6, whenever they come, if they come, would you ever consider, hot or not, bringing on an equity partner to go in with you?
I would, yes.
Okay.
I would. I realize.
Jason, you want to open a furniture store, a Dutchmans, and
I don't know if you want to be my partner in furniture business.
I've never had a partner either, so I'm not sure how I would deal with one.
okay.
But saying that, I get probably an email or customers asking every week, could you open a store here? Could you open a store there? And I am kept pretty busy going from store to store, but I also have other design projects that I do aside from being in my stores.
I think my advice to you on that front would be you have to decide, when have I hit that critical mass for myself?
Right.
And when do I want to maybe franchise this so that the name is out there and I'm receiving an income stream, but I'm not necessarily involved with the store in Florida or California or wherever you might open the other stores.
Yeah, I've been asked if I would franchise it, but I've been asked that for years now. And I know I've always heard that there's so much to it that I've never looked into it. So
Well, then it's all about quality control, right? That's the biggest thing when franchising something is, will they really reproduce what I've built?
There's definitely a sense of all of a sudden you are changing who you are as an entrepreneur. Right now, she's very driven by the design itself, picking out, having her hands on all aspects of it. Once you franchise, you are taking that out of your hands, and you're having to put together a guidebook and
Exactly.
hope that the people that you franchise it to follow that, and you have to follow up to make sure they are following it, which is time consuming. So
Yeah, I think that's hard too, because I think if any entrepreneur is probably a little bit of a control freak, and to, have something that you've built change and not really have too much control over what other people do is that would be a real challenge for me, I think.
Did you grow up in Australia, by the way? I'm just curious.
I did. I was born in New Zealand and grew up in Australia. Yeah.
How would one tell the difference between a New Zealand and an Australian accent?
Oh my gosh, there's a huge difference.
I think you just offended her.
Huge difference.
Yeah.
Just a dumb American right here. I can't tell.
Well, it's like Americans and Canadians. Canadians get so offended if they're called American. So it's but people in Australia can't always tell the difference in that accent. But
I need to visit.
I don't know that I can tell the difference in that accent either, but that's okay.
It's high on my list. I want to get there.
To Australia or New Zealand?
Both. It's
they're
so
close
far.
together if you're down that way.
You kind of
You
have
might
to.
as well go to both.
Yeah.
Was that an 18-hour flight? Something crazy.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, I've got one last hot or not, because we're approaching the end of our time, and I've done this a number of times. We haven't done it in a few episodes, but hot or not, downtown Chamblee.
Hot.
Hot?
Yeah.
Okay. What makes it hot?
It's just there. I think it's because it's getting this great vibe about it, and it's just I know all the changes that are coming, and it's exciting that Dutchmans is a part of it.
Yeah, you're going to be right where you're located. Is going to be right in the heart of a lot of really cool stuff coming over the next 3 to 5 years.
They've started the brewery right behind us.
You got a brewery coming behind you, and then there's going to be a development in that vacant lot behind you as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's just been worked
Approved.
on.
Oh, that's
Not
awesome.
approved yet, but
Not
it's been
approved,
worked
okay.
on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a great place to be, I think.
Well, we appreciate you coming on the show. Before we leave, you want to tell people, how to get a hold of you? Do they just stop in, or do they call you, or
in.
you have a website?
We do. So it's dutchmansdesigns.com.
Okay.
And we're open 7 days a week. So every time you think you're going to stop by, just come in. We're usually always there. So yeah.
Do you since you mentioned the website, do you do marketing outside of just the website and word of mouth? Is there like a social media presence? Are you
is.
mailing flyers to people's homes?
Not mailing flyers, but we've got a great following on Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
So our social media is pretty strong. We're posting every day. So yeah.
Is that, as an entrepreneur, is that what you suggest? To our young entrepreneurs listening to us, trying to learn what to do from a seasoned veteran, is that what you recommend, posting every single day, or?
I would, especially on Instagram or Twitter or Snapchat. That's really where it is right now. And advertising in print ads gets really expensive. And if you're just starting out, social media is the way to go.
Way to go.
Yep.
Agreed.
Well, Jason, thank you again for being my co-host. And
Thanks, man.
You're welcome. Well, you've been listening to Between Two Trains, a bi-monthly business podcast that airs on the 1st and the 15th of every month. Check us out. Tell your friends to check us out. We're getting a lot of great traction. And if you'd like to come on the show, please reach out and let us know, and we'll see what we can do. Thanks a lot for listening.